Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Be Fearless podcast. Today I bring you an amazing guest. But before we jump into that, hey you guys, if you're watching live, let us know. If you're watching a replay, make sure you hit that comment and say hashtag replay. And also, hold on one second. And also, make sure that you subscribe and follow the podcast for more content to go. Our guest today, she is an amazing woman. I'm so happy to have her here with us. She has dedicated over 17 years of work to the Jewish community. She's currently the co-chair of the Florida Women's Funding Alliance Steering Committee and is a member of the Women's Chamber of Commerce of Palm Beach County in Florida. She's an expert on the importance of investing in women and how it benefits the community, families, business, and society as a whole. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the one and only Jennifer Kryshka, right? Did I
Yes,
say that correctly?
yes, Kryshka. Thank
Yay!
you. That was a fun intro.
I try always to make it fun, right? I mean, I don't. I think that makes it more fun, like entertaining to the audience and to the listeners when they go into the episodes, like just to have that energy. Because hello, it's Monday, right?
Yes. Oh
we
my
need
God.
that. We need that boost of energy. So Jennifer, for the audience, the people that doesn't know you, who is Jennifer Krishka and who was she growing up?
Oh, it's such a big question. So who am I? So I grew up here in South Florida. So I pretty much grew up in Parkland, and I live in Wellington now. And pretty much my whole life I've been focused on empowering women and girls, which is, of course, what I do now professionally. But I've done it pretty much always, even as a volunteer, really starting in college. And it was something that I was really passionate about in social justice, especially for women. And I'm really lucky that I was able to take that passion and to turn it into a career.
That's fantastic. It was that always your dream, or you have like another dream when you were like growing up? Like, I don't know, like the
No,
usual.
no, I wasn't like, I want to be an astronaut or, I never had like any specific career goals when I was a kid around things like that. I just knew, when I got to college, I wanted to be able to explore different topics and really learn as much as I could about myself. And I just kind of fell into activism as something that I really loved. I minored in women's studies, and so that was a big part of it. And I knew that whatever I did when I finished school, I wanted to do something where I felt like I was having a real impact in the community. So I got really lucky that I started working in the nonprofit world, which felt like the most aligned. Like,
Mhm.
if you want to be an activist and you want to get paid to do it, then basically working in the nonprofit field is probably the best way to do it. So
I
yeah, I just
totally
got really lucky.
I totally agree with that. And I like that you have dedicated your work for I mean to us women, because there's definitely a still big roadblocks in the
For
way for
sure.
success. Everything from entrepreneurship all the way to the regular professional world, it's basically men dominated. I will say that in the last decade is when I have seen more women stepping out and up into
Mhm.
those leadership positions, because let's face it, for a long time we've been told that women are not meant to lead, which is a big lie. I mean,
Of
you
course,
can you
obviously.
just exactly right, they just have to see our household, how we are able to manage
Right.
and coordinate so many things, right?
Right.
So tell us how do you work, how you were able to actually make those first breakthrough into overcoming the barriers of gender.
Well, I'll say it's an ongoing process, but I definitely think it helps to be tenacious and to be okay if someone tells you no. And you're like, okay, that's a setback, but maybe I'm not going to take no for an answer. And so you just keep trying, I think, until hopefully you get what it is that you want. So,
I love that tenacity. And we women have a tons of it, you guys.
Yeah,
Like,
right, because what choice do we have?
exactly.
So,
It's that, or even just like, stay in a box. And
right,
I don't think that's how women are made, or especially are currently growing, right? Like,
right,
into just
sure,
staying within a box. We
right.
are developing that out of the box mentality, but also out into the world, and to do big things.
Hmm.
What have you seen women achieve in the time that you being within your nonprofit and doing all this work?
Sure. So I've been with Herizon, my current organization, for about 8.5 years. So I've really seen, quite a span of things, both, personally as an advocate, but really professionally as, CEO of this organization. And I think that we're seeing culturally, at least within the United States, um, women are, I think, getting more comfortable taking, holding space and voicing, whether it's like with the Me Too movement, feeling comfortable finally being able to talk about sexual
Hmm.
assault or whatever the issues are. I think that women are just really getting fed up. And so we're pushing back and we are okay with making people uncomfortable if that means we bring attention to issues that we really need to work on.
I think that you just touched a topic that I love to talk about, and that's the culture of sexual assault towards women. Um, Obviously, not no any type of sexual assault is not a thing that has to be being applauded in any way. But when it
Right.
comes to us women, it is something that we have endured for centuries. Let's take it, for centuries.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And if you were a victim, and it was your fault,
Right.
that it
Yeah.
happened to you.
Right.
Like even if they fight to death, oh, it was their fault. Like,
Right. Because of what you were wearing,
it's
or you had too much to drink,
it's
or right.
exactly. And that's something that we definitely need to change. Is a mentality that's still out there and has to be put a stop to.
Yes.
Um, it no
Absolutely.
no no type of sexual harassment or assault is should be applauded or welcome. And if I think that people should be encouraged to actually speak more about that
I
openly.
agree. I
Uh,
agree, and that's why I think the Me Too movement was so powerful because it really was, such a global movement where women were
mhm.
being able to share their stories, and I think that other women found a lot of strength and courage, by seeing other women talking about it. They felt like they could talk about their own
Yeah.
experience.
And I think that right now, what is has actually it's doing for women that are being sexually abused and assaulted, is it's that it has pointed attention or put a
Mhm.
finger towards human trafficking.
Mhm.
How many women are being trafficked today? Uh,
Right. That's actually an issue that we have done a lot of work around as well as an organization, specifically, sex trafficking.
mhm.
And, one of the things that we do, is we provide funding to other organizations that align with our mission. And so we have definitely funded some great organizations specifically around trafficking and finding ways to address that, whether that's, suing traffickers
Mhm.
on behalf of the victims, which is very powerful. So, trafficking is absolutely an issue. I think a lot of people who don't know, they think like, oh, trafficking only exists in third world countries, or the women who are being trafficked, even in the United States, even in the state of Florida, like it's women coming from other countries who are being trafficked here, and that's really just not true.
Exactly.
That does happen, but we
I
see
think that is
children
lack
being
of
trafficked,
education
right?
too. I think that is lack of education,
Yes,
because
absolutely.
they're not telling the people that, listen, this is a problem that has no race. It has no gender, because even males have been
Yes,
are currently
absolutely.
being sexually trafficked. So it's a
Yes,
problem that affects everybody, especially young
absolutely.
kids, like
Yes.
teenagers.
It's very
Um,
upsetting.
yeah,
Yes,
it
even
is
for young
upsetting.
children being trafficked, it's horrible. And, and with the prevalence of social media, the strategy on behalf of traffickers has certainly, been up to date where now they use things like Facebook to target,
Hmm.
especially young kids for trafficking. And if they see kids who are unhappy at home or posting about fighting with their parents, they identify who these vulnerable kids are, and those are the ones that they go for, and
Yeah.
it's really terrible.
Yes, and I think that we definitely need more awareness out there and teach parents on how to, keep an eye on their kids and try to avoid this kind of problem. Um, and the also, I think that my main concern or complaint with the whole thing is that this is an underground economy that
Hmm.
has been, I think that has been supported and ignored, right,
Hmm.
by even the government. Because, I mean, we're talking about many governments have the power to actually stop this from happening. Why this underground economy keeps growing, you know, tremendously on daily basis?
Right.
Why they're not, I mean, especially with, like you said, social media, all these accounts that traffickers have in order to lure kids
Right.
in,
Right.
they could be using that as a
They absolutely are.
as a tool to say, okay, we're going to take this person out. Why what are they doing? um
I know it's pretty terrible, but you're right, because it is profitable. Unfortunately,
mhm,
you know,
yeah,
uh, children and people in general will always be exploited if that's profitable for someone else. And in Florida, unfortunately, we do see a lot of trafficking, not just sex trafficking, but also labor trafficking.
yeah,
Because people are trying to get into the country, and they will take their passports and their money, and so they have no way
yeah,
of any kind of recourse. And because they're not here legally, they're obviously afraid to go to the authorities, and so it just creates like a perfect situation for someone who wants to exploit somebody for sexual services or for labor.
yeah, I totally agree. And that has been an issue that it has actually increased in the last, I would say, in the last 10 years. And still, people is not talking about that enough to actually provide the tools to those victims as well,
Right.
and be able to, find a way out of their circumstances. And I think that the job that you're doing is so needed, so
Thank you.
important. Yeah. um, Now talk to us about your organization. I think it's called
Mhm.
Herizon, right?
That's correct.
Tell
Yes.
us a little bit the story about Horizon, how it came to be what it is today.
Sure, sure. I love talking about Horizon. It's my favorite thing. So, so we're actually celebrating our 20th anniversary this year, which we are just amazed and so excited by. So in the beginning, we were really like a giving circle that was founded at Jewish Federation. And over time, our work expanded. And in 2014, we became a separate 501(c)(3), so our own nonprofit. We were then called the Jewish Women's Foundation of the Greater Palm Beaches, and we rebranded this past year because it was really time with our anniversary. We felt to have a name that better reflected the work that we do, because we really are focused on creating long-term change for all women and girls. So it doesn't make a difference if it's inside or outside the Jewish community. We really want all women and girls to be healthy and successful.
I love that. We need more women in leadership because we're also born to be leaders.
Absolutely.
So you said, when is the anniversary? Is in March, right?
So we are celebrating our anniversary on March 8th, which is also International Women's Day.
Yay!
So I know the timing worked out so well this year. So we will have our luncheon at the Kravis Center in West Palm Beach. And we're really focusing on the success that the organization has had, but also a historical look at where we've come over the last 20 years, particularly around, issues impacting women and girls.
Mhm.
And then looking ahead at the next 20 years at where we need to be directing our energy. So we have a few awards that we give out to important people in the community that we feel are really making a difference. And we're excited to have a panel discussion this year that is moderated by Holly Davis from WPTV.
That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be sharing with you guys on the screen. We have the link right here is joinherizon.org. So please stop by and check the events and make sure that you RSVP, and support the organization are doing an amazing job into getting women and young women, a
Yes.
better way to overcome these barriers of gender in our community, and I think in everything.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
especially, and I'm gonna go in something that's really upsetting for me is
Sure.
that there are differences even in how women are getting paid.
Oh,
The-
sure. I mean, we,
Yes.
we still see a lack of pay equity, even when you're talking about women with, similar experience
Hmm.
and education and all of that. There still is definitely a disparity. And for women of color, it's much worse than it is for white women.
Yeah.
Usually, when you see statistics around the pay gap, which is like, let's say, about 80 cents to the dollar, that is actually referring to white women. For women of color, it's much, much worse than that. So
Yeah.
it's still an issue that we are trying to address. Yes.
I think that there is a although unfortunately you just pointed out something that is true. I mean, unfortunately the white women have more advantage over um other women of color or of ethnicities, but I will say that even white women also like share that. I'm gonna say this because I was watching a video the other day
Hmm.
about how in Hollywood women are not even getting paid, and we're talking
Yes.
about all
Yes.
type of women. I have
Absolutely.
seen it in my line of work as well. I have seen it in so many other areas. In I think that in overall, the abilities of women to
Hmm.
do so, I mean, to think in the way that we think, I think our brains is also wired differently. We are able to see the perspectives of things in such a different light, and I think it's because of we're mothers, we're sisters, we are aunts,
Hmm.
we feel different than men feel. um I
Yeah, I
think
mean,
for
I
some.
definitely think that our
Yeah.
experiences are different than they are for
Yeah.
men. Which I want to be careful how I phrase that because I, of course, recognize, there are people who identify as non-binary and
Hmm.
trans, but I will say that generally speaking, the experience for women is just different than it is for men. That's just the
Yeah.
reality of things. Expectations are different, based on gender, which, is also equally terrible for men, I think, as
Hmm.
it is for women. And that is something that we care about within the organization, because we want everyone to be healthy, safe, successful, and for gender not to be a barrier to any of those things. And that includes, for boys and men too, who are expected to be tough all the time or not to have any
I
emotion.
totally agree with that. I mean, that's I mean, I'm from Puerto Rico. The machismo in Puerto Rico is something, but the problem with the machismo is that women's are the one encouraging that type of behavior. Like men are not supposed to cry.
Right,
What, that they're not supposed to have feelings? Like
right.
what the heck?
Right.
Uh,
It's very unhealthy, right? It's unhealthy for
exactly.
everybody. And it's not natural. Like everyone needs to be able to express their feelings.
Hmm.
And I think for men in particular, a real problem that we see is that because men are not taught how to have a healthy relationship with their feelings, they
Hmm.
don't know how to process anger in a healthy way. And
Yeah.
so sometimes, unfortunately, that does lead to things like domestic
Domestic violence. Yeah.
or other, right, like
Other. Yeah.
demonstrations of violence. And we, of course, don't want to see that.
Yeah.
So we feel like the work that we do really is intended to benefit everybody and not just women and girls.
I love it. I love it so much. Thank you for um is there any like other type, well, I'm probably gonna answer this question myself.
Sure.
Are there other resources available through your website that like not only for women but like men that will love or will be seeking your help?
I mean, so we definitely, there are a variety of resources on our website. So we, of course, are not a service provider, but
Mhm,
we do have a lot of relationships in the community because of the grants that we provide.
mhm.
So we can always help connect people to resources if that's something that they're looking to do. But there's also on our website a list of organizations that we funded, and their websites are included. So if you wanted to go and see like who we funded, and you see an issue that really speaks to you and you want to learn more, then you can click on their website and go and learn more about those organizations as well.
I love it. So here I'm going to show up again. And the link for the organization is joinhorizon.org. So make sure that you go there, navigate the website, and reach out to the resource page. Now, before we leave today, Jessica, Jessica, I don't know what I'm calling you, Jessica.
Everyone does that. I'm not
Why?
kidding.
It's
Everyone
Jennifer.
calls me Jessica. I don't know.
What is it? What is wrong with me today?
It's okay.
Jennifer. I hope I introduced you with
You
Jennifer.
did.
I did? Okay. Yeah, I'm like now thinking back, did I did it before? I'm so sorry.
It's fine.
Okay, so Jennifer, tell
Yeah.
us what are three things that women can start doing today or can do to overcome the barriers of gender?
Oh, it's such a big question. Um, I think first and foremost, it's really important to believe that you can accomplish the things that you want to believe, even when there are a lot of roadblocks. I think one of the most important things that girls and women can do to really have control over their lives is to understand how to manage money. There are a lot of resources out there. We actually did financial literacy series that you can watch on YouTube that talks about different financial topics. But being in control over your own money, I think, is just one of the most important things that you can do no matter what. Because as long as you know how to manage money and you can rely on yourself, you're not putting in a position where you have to rely on somebody else. So I would say first and foremost, learn how to budget, understand, how to manage your money. Secondly, I say, try to surround yourself with other women who have the kinds of qualities that you admire and who are willing to provide support. And if you can, find a mentor because mentorship plays such a huge role in women being successful. And then I would say on the flip side of that, identify women and girls in your community and in your office, in wherever you are, that you can support, that you can mentor, and that you can look out for. Because I think that, sisterhood in that way is
Yeah.
just, it's so important because we understand what we're going through. And if we don't support each other, then we're just making it so much more difficult for all of us to be successful.
I totally agree. You guys, you heard her. You heard Jennifer. So, those are the three things that you can start doing today to overcome the barriers of gender. So, Jennifer, before we go, thank you so much for your time. Thank you
Thank
for
you for
being
having me.
here. You guys, again, make sure that you go and search for joinhorizon.org. They're going to have the 20th year, right?
Yes, our 20th anniversary. Yeah.
Anniversary in March 8th, which is the same day of International Women's Day.
Yes.
So make sure that you go and if you're in Florida, try to stop by and celebrate with
Yes.
them and learn more about the organization, everything that they are doing to improve women's life. And therefore, I mean, if you improve a woman's life, you're basically changing a life. Not only the life of that woman, but also their families and the
Correct.
community.
Yes.
So it is so important that you guys support this cause. And thank you. I thank you for what you do daily. Actually, Jennifer, I
Thank you
really
so much for having
thank
me. I really
you.
appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime, you're welcome here. Just let us know. Now, you guys, it wasn't that amazing. Three things that you can start doing today watch the interview on replay. Don't forget to subscribe. And until the next time, don't forget to unlock your potential and be fearless. See you in the next one. Bye.